The Golden State Warriors are back at the top. Let's get into this.
Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetics.
Quickly before we get the video started, if you guys enjoy this video and want to see more NBA content just like this one, hit that subscribe button and that post notification bell. Anyways, back to the video. We all know when the Golden State Warriors were completely at the top, having Steph Curry, Klay Thomson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green all on the same team, just completely running the NBA, winning championship after championship, making the NBA Finals each and every season. But those times were in the past. Eventually Kevin Durant actually decided to leave Golden State. And ever since KD left, the Warriors have never been the same. In the initial season, right after KD left the Warriors, of course both Steph Curry and Klay Thomson were injured for most of the season, and overall it's just a very bad season for the Warriors. But the good thing that did come out of it is they did get a very high draft pick, the number 2 overall selection, which turned out to be James Wiseman. And also this previous season last year, the Warriors had a better season, but they didn't necessarily have a good season, I would say, just missing out of the playoffs. But once again last year they brought in some nice young pieces to their team during the draft this previous season. And overall, although these previous 2 seasons weren't necessarily the Warriors we were used to and weren't winning that much and didn't even make the playoffs, it was a positive thing for them because of course they brought in a ton of young talent. And I think early on in this season, when basically everybody's healthy except for Klay Thomson, who hopefully will be coming back by Christmas, but we're seeing this Warriors team this year completely back on the top. Currently, at the time of recording this video, the Warriors are currently 11-1 and the best team in the NBA. And this is of course without even Klay Thomson being back. But before we can really get into anything else, the real question is, why is Golden State this good so far? Well, of course, in terms of how the Warriors are playing collectively, they're playing fantastic basketball. They're playing their typical Warriors offense where they have a quick pace and space offense, having the ball either in Draymond Green's hands or maybe Jordan Poole's hands or somebody else, and having Steph coming off ball for off ball screens and just catch and shoot 3-point shots like they always do, as well as Steph Curry just completely going off at times. But overall, the main reason why Golden State offense is so effective is because they have so many different 3-point shooters on their team, and they have great ball movement and great chemistry on the Warriors. At least in the past, that's why they were always so good. And currently this year, at the start of this season, we're seeing those same kind of things offensively. But in terms of their defensive ability, they've also been a really good defensive team as well. When you look at the different players they have on their team in terms of the great defensive players, of course they have Draymond Green, who's a fantastic defender, and of course he gets a lot of hate because of his skills on the offensive end, or the lack of skills. But defensively, you really can't say that much about his skills. He's a very, very good defender and does a great job on whoever he's defending. But even besides him now, they brought in a guy in Andrew Wiggins, who ever since getting to the Warriors completely changed his game and really became a very good defender. But besides just those 2 guys who are fantastic on-ball defenders and fantastic individual defenders, Golden State as a team is just playing great team defense as well. And overall, besides even getting into the specific players on the team, just looking at team basketball in terms of their offense and defense, the Warriors are playing a very similar game to where they were in the past few seasons where they're completely at the top. Just great offense, great defense. But now getting into specific players and reasons why the Warriors are so good currently, let's first start talking about, of course, the main player on the team, which is Steph Curry. So offensively, I think we all know what Steph can do at this point. Fantastic shooter, can literally shoot from anywhere on the court, half court, even behind half court, wherever. So of course, Steph Curry is a great catch and shoot 3-point shooter. That's obviously a given. He can also create his own 3-point jump shot, crazy crossovers, behind the back, step back, side step, whatever you want from that 3-point range, no matter how deep it is. He can step back into a half-court jump shot if he wanted to. But literally, Steph can do anything you could possibly want from that 3-point area. But in terms of Steph's mid-range shooting ability, of course it's also fantastic and very similar to his 3-point shot. He is a very good pull-up mid-range jump shooter, which is something he actually doesn't get enough credit for. He also has a fantastic floater within his game, can cross over, step back, sidestep, whatever into his mid-range jump shot as well. Overall, he's a very prolific shooter in general, but I think obviously we all already knew that. But then getting all the way to the basket, Steph is also very prolific at that as well, finishing with either hand, either left or right. And honestly, in terms of his true finishing ability, he might be the best finisher in the NBA. Maybe a guy like Kyrie Irving is slightly better, but he's definitely very close to Kyrie's level, if not maybe even a little bit better than him. So on all 3 levels of Steph's game, he's very complete. But besides just his main scoring ability, Steph also has a pretty good ability to pass the ball around and find open teammates, of course. So whenever he's cooking whatever initial defender's on him, and even if he's getting doubled or triple teamed, he's always going to find the wide open guy either in the corner or the wing or whatever. And the new talent that the Warriors currently have on the team right now, whatever player he passes to is more likely than not going to hit that wide open 3-point shot or mid-range shot or even a dunk if they have it. So overall, I think we all know this, but Steph Curry is a legitimate superstar at this point. But of course, besides just Steph Curry, he's getting some help from guys like Wiggins, who's having a pretty good year, Iguodala, okay year, of course he's getting a little bit older, Draymond Green, some of the other players on his team are playing pretty well, but the real surprise of this season has been Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, from when he was drafted and basically his whole career before this year, was seen as a nice young player, maybe a guy who can come off the bench, just be a scoring punch, maybe even a guy who can start on your team and just be a decent starter, but nobody saw Jordan Poole as a star player. But this season, in the 2021 NBA season, he completely blew up. In his rookie season, he averaged about 9 points per game, which is okay, a decent rookie season. He wasn't expected to do that much, just be a pretty good player coming off the bench. In his second season last year, in the 2020 season, he averaged 12 points. It was a nice improvement, and Jordan was certainly going in the right direction. But early on in this season, Jordan is averaging 17.5 points per game on 43% shooting from the field, 2 rebounds per game, and 4 assists per game. And his game just completely exploded. On the offensive end, Jordan just looks like such a skilled offensive player. He has the ability to shoot from that 3-point range, he has the ability to catch and shoot, sidestep, step back, cross over into a 3-point jump shot, pull up for a 3-point jump shot. He isn't necessarily shooting a great percentage from that 3-point area, so you might say maybe he actually can't shoot 3-point shots, but in my opinion, I think it's more so of a LaMelo Ball situation when he was playing overall in Australia. When LaMelo was playing in Australia, he was only shooting about 28% from 3-point range, so coming into the NBA, people weren't sure if LaMelo could actually shoot threes, and it was a little bit of a concern. But I think it's pretty safe to say, just based on how LaMelo has been playing early on in his NBA career, it's pretty safe to say that LaMelo could certainly hit a 3-point jump shot and is a good 3-point shooter. But what I mean by Jordan Poole being in that same situation that LaMelo was back when he was playing in Australia, I think the issue with Jordan is more so he's a little bit immature out there in the court and maybe chucking a little too many 3-point jump shots and maybe not great 3-point shots, and that's really bringing his percentage down. I don't necessarily think that Jordan is a bad 3-point shooter or can't shoot 3-point shots, because in my opinion, I think he has proven the ability to hit 3-point shots and proven the ability to be a pretty good 3-point shooter. So I think when he really matures out there on the court and just takes a lot better shots in terms of his 3-point shooting, I think his 3-point shooting percentage is going to be a lot better and be a way better representation of what he can actually do in terms of his shooting ability. And of course, the Warriors are having this incredible start without Klay, but also without James Wiseman, who they had drafted with a number 2 overall selection last year. So now the real question is, once these guys come back, Wiseman and Klay Thomson, how good could this Warriors team actually be? Are they a legitimate championship contender? Are they a championship favorite based on how they played so far? What should we expect from these guys? So specifically talking about a guy like Klay, I think Golden State is certainly going to be a way better team with Klay rather than without him. Of course, he's coming off 2 major injuries, so we have to see how Klay actually comes back. But I actually made a video on this, check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But basically what I was saying in that video is once Klay actually comes back to the court, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to actually feel comfortable. But once he feels comfortable, I don't necessarily think the injuries would have affected him that much in terms of him being a completely different player and completely not as effective as he was in the past. Because on the offensive side, what Klay does mostly, of course he could score for himself and create for himself, but mostly what he does on the offensive end is just catch and shoot from that 3-point range. And then major knee injuries that he had, I don't think would necessarily affect that. One thing that could happen though is his defense could be affected and maybe he won't be as great of a defender as he was in the past. We'll have to see about that. But in terms of his offensive ability, I think it's basically going to be the same as it was previous. But just to answer the question, when both Klay and James Wiseman rejoin the team and are back healthy, I think of course at the very beginning it's going to take some time for their chemistry to get on the same par with everybody else on their team. But eventually, I think they will find that, and I think with these 2 guys on their team, they're going to be even better than they were, of course, without them. So I think during the regular season, what the Warriors have been proving is they're going to have a great regular season, maybe even being a top 4 seed in the Western Conference, and maybe I'm even underrating them. It's just the Warriors are playing so much better currently than I ever thought they would, especially without even Klay Thomson on their team. But currently at this point, I'm probably going to say they're going to be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference, I would say, and going into the playoffs, probably if they are a top top 4 seed, they're going to win the first round playoff matchup depending on who they're playing. And if they do win that, then in the second round you have to see who they're playing. Maybe they can even win that, and you never know. They can go really far. Maybe they can make it all the way to the NBA Finals. Maybe they can win an NBA championship. You never know. It's very early on in the season. We don't know what's going to happen to all these other NBA teams going down the stretch, going into the playoffs. But currently at this point, I think this Golden State team is definitely going to have a really good season this year. And barring any crazy injuries, I think they're going to be a lot better when they're rejoined by both Klay Thomson and James Wiseman. But we'll see what happens going forward for the Warriors. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the Warriors are going to have a great year this year, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe and hit that post notification bell. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.
Dosage. Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetics. Hope you can't go where I'm headed.